Right, is it Andrew that's next? Nathaniel, that's fine. Nathaniel, if you'd like to come and join us. Changing Places New Zealand, that's number 86, colleagues. So welcome, Nathaniel, if you'd like to introduce your colleague. And
Hi, thanks. So I'm Nat, and this is Margo. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to talk to you today about public toilets on behalf of Changing Places New Zealand. We are longtime residents of the Hutt, and thank you. These are our kids, and our older son has cerebral palsy, so we know a thing or two about disability. Right, so the Hutt is pretty accessible overall, which is probably why there are so many retirement homes and people with disability living out here. But here's the thing, it doesn't actually matter how many accessible taxis, buses and trains you have, or how many ramps and handrails you install, if you can't use the loo when you get where you're going. Okay, the ugly truth is, if you have a profound or complex disability, then this is what it looks like to use a so-called accessible toilet. Okay, if you need to lie down to get changed, then you've got no option other than to use the floor. We've got a lot of friends with brain-injured kids, and this is what we've come to accept, but it's not acceptable. Okay, the irony is, disability toilets, you actually have to be quite able to use an accessible toilet. They're designed for people who have a disability, but who don't need help from anyone else. So, if this is your accessible toilet, how would you lie down in that space? Remember, not that you actually want to. Okay, what if grandma needs 2 helpers to get on or off the toilet? How would you even fit together in a space this size? Okay, now imagine that there's only one toilet in the whole world that you know you can use and it's at your home. How long would it be before you just stop going out entirely? Luckily, there is a solution, and it's called a changing place. To make things truly accessible, people need special equipment like a ceiling hoist and an adult-sized changing table. Now, they've got over 1,000 of these across the UK. Changing Places New Zealand has come up with some improvements on that design, and now the UK actually wants to implement some of our changes over there. This is what it looks like to use a ceiling hoist and an adult-sized changing table. Okay, people bring their own sling because slings tend to be designed for the person, and any individual who already needs a sling already has their own. We actually use a better design than this for the table, so you can shower someone without the water splashing everywhere. It drains into the table and down the back. Okay, the problem is there's only one changing place in all of New Zealand, and it's in Hamilton, and it opened 2 months ago. Okay, you can see the ceiling hoist at the top of that image. Behind that crowd of people, there's the adult-sized changing table, and there's clearly plenty of room to move around in there. Now, according to Google, this is more or less the area within 10 minutes walk of Town Hall here. Okay, if you put a single changing place somewhere near here, then all of downtown just became accessible. Okay, and I bet that's why they put an electric vehicle charging station outside the Dows. Right? I bet that's exactly the reasoning there. Actually, electric vehicles are a pretty good analogy. We want to build a network of changing places across the whole country. Okay, you want to start with that one in Hamilton. We want one in every town, every major place that people need to go. But you need to start with a few oasis locations. Okay, and somewhere around here would be a good location for the Hutt. Also, you have the same concept as with electric vehicles of range anxiety. Right? How far can you go between pit stops? Okay? So changing places needs changing. We've got one location, we're looking for a number 2. Okay? If everyone needs to use the loo when they're out and about. If you put a changing place in the heart of downtown, that'll make a huge difference for the people who need it. People who live in the Hutt, people who want to visit the Hutt, and their families and caregivers who can't really go anywhere either if their family member needs to stay at home. So this is our website. There's a couple of links on there to very short, kind of 5-minute videos that tour around inside the changing place in Hamilton and show what the deal is. There's a lot of information on that website, and it's also all available in a printed information guide. That's my pitch. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you very much, Nat. Can I just ask a couple of questions? Sorry, Margo, did you want to make any additional comment? You're just fully endorsing.
I do want to make an additional comment.
Yep.
As a mother, I speak for the stay-home moms who have to look after their adult disabled children. When I walk into a toilet with my son, he's 15. He doesn't want his mother with him. That's number one. But if I have to be there, I have to lay him on a floor. Now, I go to the loo, I hang my purse up. Why? Because I don't want to put my purse on a floor. But I have to change my 15-year-old son on a floor. Now, he doesn't like it. His brain is all there. His body is what's the problem. And this is just one example, just me. So he feels embarrassed. I feel upset. And so that means I can't go anywhere without putting him in adult-sized diapers. I just want you guys to understand what it's like to not only be my son Phoenix, but be the parent of somebody who can't do things with their children. You know, he's 15, he wants to go out with his friends, but he can't go out with his other disabled friends because we can't change them anywhere. So we're on a tight schedule of, you got 1 hour here, and then we have to head home. So just keep that in mind. As a family, we need this. Thank you.
Thank you, Margo, and I think that brings it home absolutely. Just a couple of questions from me, and then I'll invite questions from the councillors. The one in Hamilton, whereabouts is that one located?
So they put it at Hamilton Gardens.
Hamilton Garden. Okay.
And so Changing Places New Zealand was started by a friend of ours, Jen Hooper, who lives in Hamilton, and she was really the sole driving force behind this whole thing.
Right. And then the other quick question I had was, in Queensgate they do have family sort of changing areas. You know, if we were looking at sort of putting a hoist or something in that, would that be?
That could be another great location. Exactly. You got a lot of people going there all the time. It is a central location. It's there's plenty of parking. You know, it's right there in the downtown. Something I was thinking about when we brought the kids to the night lights. What was it?
Carnival
Thanks.
lights.
Yeah, it was. Just think how far would I be prepared to walk to get to a loo? You know, and like this kind of range pretty much says it. So, you know, anywhere within reasonable kind of distance kind of works. Thanks.
And sort of, are you familiar with the ones I'm talking about, the family room type of thing?
Yeah.
As a family, as a grown adult, these don't actually work for us. You got to imagine that our son Phoenix is almost 40K plus. So not only do we have to lift him, which is fine, great exercise, but those parent rooms are not made for us. There really isn't enough space for me, him, his wheelchair, me to hoist him up, and there's no place to lay him down. These are parent places for people with toddlers.
That's what I was sort of
Yeah.
Margo was, you know, would it be as simple as putting a hoist in one of those to get it underway? You're saying that they're really not big enough.
You'd have to make a separate room. You'd have to extend it out, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you, Nat and Margo. As Chair of the Accessibility and Inclusiveness Panel, I welcomed your submission. I think everything we can do to try and bring awareness to our lesser able people in the city is fantastic, so I thank you for that. I'm just wondering if you've got any idea as to a costing of what Hamilton paid to get the Changing Places facility.
So at Hamilton, thank you. At Hamilton, they spent about $200,000 on it, and that's because they built it as a separate kind of standalone unit. They were putting in a new toilet block, and they planned ahead and made sure there was like plumbing and so on going to this allocated space. But then they came along later and built it as like a standalone unit. Jenn estimates that the cost could come down to as much as like $120,000 or something if you incorporate it into some other build. So you've already got builders and project managers and everybody on site. Yeah. And also, Jenn is talking with a couple of providers who make kind of prefab container-sized toilet blocks that they kind of manufacture in Auckland and then ship, and then you just plunk it down somewhere. She's working through details with a couple of different providers to see what can be done there. So there are other cheaper options.
I think it might be Jenn, or is it yourself that's had some discussion with our Divisional Manager of Parks and Gardens, Bruce Sherlock?
Yeah, that was us. Yeah, we met with with Bruce and Derek. Yeah.
Congratulations on a very compelling submission. Do these sorts of facilities, when they're not being required by those with disabilities, can they be used by the public? And if so, is there any sort of a problem with vandalism of some of that specialised equipment?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. So what Jenn came up with, okay, in the UK, they have a skeleton key system, but that whole system is completely fallen apart because anybody can make a copy of the key and buy it off a friend or something. And then you don't want people getting in there vandalizing it. You don't want kids swinging off the ceiling hoist and hurting themselves. And you don't want somebody moving in there because it's a nice size house, right? And it's got a bed and it's got a sink and it's got everything.
So what Jenn has done is she has got a swipe. So you sign up. We can sign up for our swipe.
I haven't got it with us, but it's a dongle on a retractable thing, and it's Gallagher's. It's the same Gallagher's who use your swipe systems here, and they've built a system with the idea that it's going to be totally scalable, and so when new changing places get built around the country, your same swipe is going to open all of them. And they're also working on an app that they've got this idea for a Bluetooth app with your phone that'll let you in and also tell you where your nearest changing place is. So.
I have had that discussion with Bruce, and he believes that dongle thing, we do have that on other parts around the city with a lot of our gates and things, and he says it's definitely possible to include. Councillor Barry.
Thank you for your submission. Extremely well done. Just with the Hamilton one, because I had actually happened to look at this a couple of months ago, and their total costs, from what I found out, was about $420,000 for the entire facility, and I understand that I think maybe $100,000 was donated equipment or something like that. So I was just trying to get an understanding of potentially how it could work, or us as a council partnering with organisations, whether that's what Hamilton did to bring the costs down for them, or just trying to get a better understanding on that picture, if you have that.
Okay,
thanks. I'll have to look into that. From my talks with Jenn, I thought she said that 200 was more or less the total bill for that might have been like the whole toilet block, including the other facilities, but it could have been something else.
Our officers are bringing forward a report for our June meeting that they are talking with that and what opportunities there might be.
That's awesome.
So look, we really appreciate you both coming today. You've put forward a very passionate plea, and I can assure you we will be looking very serious to this. As Councillor Barrett said, we've just established a new inclusion policy in committee. So this is exactly the sorts of things that are now being raised through that committee. So really appreciate you highlighting it for us today, and I can assure you we'll be giving this very serious consideration.
thank you.
So thank you both.
Thanks very much.
Have a good day.